Join us for a captivating new series where Lawin sits down with the trailblazers of the music and entertainment world. Discover the stories behind the faces and voices that shape our culture and community.
We will bring you exclusive interviews with industry legends and rising stars. Behind-the-scenes insights and get a peek into the creative processes and personal journeys. Artists and performers and their upcoming shows and events.
Stay tuned for more updates and sneak peeks. Follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel.
Be bold. Why not? Season 3. Make your mark, lead with pride.
Arm yourself with courage. Stand out and rise above.
Be the leader that you can be.
Lead others with passion.
Join us as we chat with MJ. Be part of the conversation. Every Monday at 7 p.m. Central. Tuesday, 8 a.m. Philippines.
Ready for some real talk? Pink Table Talk is all about empowerment, entrepreneurship, and the vibrant stories that make the world go round. Don't miss out on the gems shared in this heart-to-heart session with Dr. 𝘾𝙧𝐵. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Attention, food lovers! Get ready for a brand new culinary adventure with the Commissary Kitchen.
Join us every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Time, or 9 a.m. in the Philippines, for a live show that brings the best of the kitchen straight to your screen.
Presented by Lawin Live Stream and Podcast and produced by Lawin Media Network, we'll explore delicious recipes, share expert cooking tips, and bring you closer to the world of gourmet cuisine.
The Commissary Kitchen, where every meal is an experience. See you there. Tune in to Legal Treats with attorney 𝐲𝐢𝐯𝐞 every Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time.
Get your weekly dose of legal knowledge, especially on family matters like divorce, child custody, child support, estate planning, probate and immigration.
Engage in discussions by posting your questions, comments, greetings or shoutouts.
See you every Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time. That would be Saturday at 9 a.m. Philippines. Don't miss out.
In a world cluttered with information, where truth is power, Lawin Weekly News stands apart.
We delve deeper, uncover facts, and bring stories to light. From political showdowns and economic triumphs to the pulse of the street and the heart of the community.
We capture the moments that define us, stories that challenge, inspire, and transform.
Tune in live Sundays 8 a.m. Central Standard Time and Sundays 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Are you ready for engaging conversations on education, teaching strategies, trends in the classroom?
Tune in to Teacher Talk, Live 𝘲𝐻𝐻 with your hosts, Teacher Cora and Dr. Claire.
In each episode, we'll dive into meaningful discussions, share insights, and connect with fellow educators.
Don't miss out on the fun and camaraderie. Grab your coffee and join us for some lively 𝘲𝐻𝐻. Every Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Philippines.
Lawin Media Network.
Bringing to you the most relevant content across all platforms.
Business, legal, politics, health, lifestyle, and entertainment.
Your source for all the news and updates in the greater Houston community from Texas and all over the world.
Get informed and empowered with Lawin Media Network.
The following program is produced by Lawin Media Network. The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individuals appearing on the show and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Lawin Media Network, its affiliates, sponsors, or partners. The content provided in this program is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Lawin Media Network does not guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or timeliness of the information.
Welcome to Lawin Media Network. You're watching Pink Table Talk. I'm your host, Dr. 𝘾𝙧𝙧𝙡, a doctorally prepared nurse, educator, mentor, and domestic violence advocate and survivor. Tonight is actually our season finale for our first season. I'm so excited, and we've had such a wonderful season so far. We've had 12 wonderful episodes, each with such inspiring, unique, and wonderful guests. And tonight we will also have an amazing guest for you guys tonight. So tonight we're going to be talking with Dr. Alex Paine. So Dr. Alex Paine, she is a dedicated health and fitness enthusiast whose journey seamlessly blends academic excellence with the competitive spirit. She has a Ph.D. in molecular, cellular, and developmental biology that focuses on educational research in STEM. She brings a unique scientific perspective to the world of fitness. Her fitness journey includes bodybuilding, which began in 2013. She also is a coach. She helps coach people with their fitness goals. She has also made a successful debut in 2015, winning a bikini title in her first competition. She also has an online coaching business called Paine for Gains, LLC, which she shares a passion for teaching and empowering her clients to reach their health and fitness goals. She is also a dedicated instructor with Baylor University, and she inspires her students to explore complex scientific concepts with a curiosity for critical thinking. Whether she's in the lecture hall or the gym, Alex's commitment to teaching and personal growth underscores all endeavors, demonstrating that both education and fitness are vital for building a healthier and more informed community. In addition to her fitness coaching and teaching, she also runs a business with fashion called 𝐥𝐢𝐯𝐿𝐴 Customs, which specializes in fitness and bodybuilding designs for competitions. So welcome to the show, Dr. Alex Paine. We're so excited to have you.
Excited to be on the show.
Yes, I'm so glad to have you here. I've been looking forward to this episode ever since I first met you and talked to you. I said, this is such an interesting woman. She is so inspiring and empowering, and I love that. So I was like, I have to have you on my show, and so I'm so glad that you're here.
Super excited to be here, and I'm super excited to share a little bit about myself and about my fitness journey.
Oh, thank you so much. Would you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town in Iowa. Bodybuilding has kind of always been a part of my life, even when I thought it was a silly hobby to be engaged in. Both of my parents were bodybuilders when I was really young. And I actually remember even being dropped off at my grandparents' house while my parents went off to compete. So I've kind of always been around it. Meals when I was younger were always focused around the bodybuilding diet, lots of chicken and rice. I've been exposed to that. So it definitely started me thinking about that, even in the back of my mind, really young. Since then, obviously growing up in Iowa, smaller area, fitness wasn't really a popular thing. So I thought it was silly and didn't do anything with it until later on in college. So I went to college in Iowa as well, in a small liberal arts school called Buena Vista University, where I received my degree in biology. And even through there, I didn't really think too much about fitness. I got overweight my senior year of college, and that got me starting to think a lot more just in general about health. So that's a big aspect that led me to at least start considering this whole concept of maybe the gym isn't a bad thing. Yeah. And maybe there was a reason my parents ate the way they did and didn't, gorge on the pizza and ice cream that was always available at the section of college, right? When you have your open food sources.
Yes, that's true.
So that got me thinking about it. And from there, I went to graduate school, kind of started dabbling, just being more active, getting on the elliptical or the treadmill while I was studying, kind of being two birds with one stone, right? Just to start thinking about being a little bit healthier. But then in graduate school, when I started to really apply myself to understanding more about what I was going to school for, molecular, cellular, and developmental biology, specifically more on the molecular and cellular side, I started reading a lot more about the health implications of various aspects in biology. Your first year of grad school, you're really just kind of dabbling in all the different fields, still taking samplings of the different ways that you could move forward with your degree. And a couple of those focused on several things that were health related. So whether that be obesity, that was actually the one that really popped up a lot, was issues with obesity in America and considering pharmaceutical interventions in America, as well as just other aspects of health where we're seeing detrimental effects of various diseases on our population, whether that be in the United States or outside. And it got me thinking about my own health and my own habits, even though we didn't have conversations directly around what was causing it on the macro scale. We were really looking microscopically at the cell. It got me thinking on the macro scale. Flash forward to my second year in graduate school, I was actually working in a laboratory that focused on type 2 diabetes.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, type 2 is the kind of diabetes that you could technically give to yourself through unhealthy eating habits and lack of exercise. So again, I'm still thinking about this aspect of health and really diving into the health issue of type 2. And what I learned at that point was there was this self-recognition and then this general recognition of what I was doing in the laboratory setting, researching this, was researching pharmaceutical interventions. And I became more and more aware the more time I spent reading articles on the pharmacy behind correcting type 2. I just became more aware of the things we were not addressing. We were not addressing diet. We were not addressing movement. We were not addressing the holistic aspect that as a person, the choices that we make have huge impacts on our health.
Yes.
Yeah. And the more I recognized how much it was pushed through the research that I was doing, that the goal was to create, to an extent, a magic pill that would fix a problem that could be fixed through educational methods.
Yes.
The harder it was for me to engage in that research, And the more passionate I became about learning about diet and movement, and the more I focused on my personal diet and my own personal movement, and I started to make that connection between what my parents did when I was 6 or 7 and why they cared so much about spending hours in the gym and why they cared so much about making these boring chicken and rice meals that I could not stand as a kid. Like, where is my macaroni and cheese and McDonald's that my best friend's having for dinner?
Right. Yeah.
And I made this connection. And if it wasn't for seeing that as a child and then making my own personal choices to not move and to eat unhealthily in college and part of graduate school, to then making that full circle connection as a graduate student doing research that was trying to fix the mistakes that I was making and not focusing on education, I actually came to a barrier with my own education where I made the decision to step away from doing research in the laboratory setting. So I walked away with a master's degree and switched my degree focus to education, still in STEM, because that is what I had my master's degree in and my undergraduate degree in. But I cared a lot more about teaching people, and just in general. I've always wanted to be a teacher. So that was a big stepwise change, and it flipped not only my trajectory in health and pushed me into this world of fitness and bodybuilding, but it changed the trajectory of my entire career, just by making these connections and realizing that your health and your wellness is partially your choice. And that if you make the right choices through the right information or the right education, you can live a really long, healthy life. And that is why I left that lab. Was I have this huge passion for informing people and teaching people and getting other individuals involved in their own learning and understanding why it's important to consider movement and why it's important to consider how you're nourishing your body in order to increase your own longevity.
Yeah. Wow. That's so amazing. And, it's so informative. I think what you've done there was you truly looked at what the reasoning is for us to want to live healthier lives and want to be more fit. Whether that's through our nutrition, like you said, whether through our dieting, but you actually looked at it on a molecular level so that you can understand what our body actually needs and why we need certain things, especially like nutrients, electrolytes, and, things like that. So it's actually a real science to it. And so I think that's important for our audience to understand that. It's not just about cosmetic and just trying to look good, but there's actual science to it. Before we go on a break, I'm going to read some of our comments from our audience. We have some viewers here. We have Jenna Opegar. She just gave us a purple heart. Thank you for watching, Jenna. We also have Evangeline. She's watching from the Philippines. So she says, good morning, Texas. Thank you, Evangeline Conception. And then we have Joan Estradia. Sorry if I'm messing up your name. And she says, good morning, man, from Pagasinan. I'm sorry, I'm messing up their names today. We have a lot of international viewers, and so they're watching us from around the world. So I'm so happy you guys have joined us tonight. We're going to have a wonderful discussion, continuing to talk about health, fitness, and education with Dr. Alex Paine. So stay tuned after the break. We'll see you.
In a world filled with fleeting moments, there's beauty waiting to be captured. My name is Christian, and I specialize in immortalizing your most precious memories, from elegant weddings to vibrant events and timeless portraits. I'm here to make every moment unforgettable. Let me tell your story through the lens. Contact me today and let's create magic together.
In a world cluttered with information, where truth is power, Lawin Weekly News stands apart.
We delve deeper, uncover facts, and bring stories to light. From political showdowns and economic triumphs to the pulse of the street and the heart of the community.
We capture the moments that define us, stories that challenge, inspire, and transform.
Tune in live Sundays 8 a.m. Central Standard Time and Sundays 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Welcome back to Pink Table Talk. We're live tonight on Lawin Media Network, either through our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. Thank you all for watching us tonight. Tonight we're talking with Dr. Alex Paine, a health and fitness coach and educator. So before our break, Dr. Paine, you told us how you got into fitness, how you were inspired by your parents, how you actually went through your own journey with your health and weight struggles in college. But now you're into bodybuilding, fitness, and coaching. So can you tell us, what was your bodybuilding journey like and how did you get into that?
Yeah, so I have always been a highly competitive person. So any way I can make something a competition, I will probably find a way to do it. So board game nights, I highly recommend like cooperative play so we can be on the same team. Otherwise, it might not end the best. So I've always been this way. I just think it's fun. It gives you something to strive for. It gives you drive. And when I started training, it was back in 2013 was the first time that I really decided that going to the gym was going to be something beyond just going on the elliptical to move.
Yes.
Because my parents were bodybuilders and because I like to have stupidly insane goals, most of the time whenever I start something, I know I'm going to start it and I'm going to be bad at it. And I want to be awesome at it by the end. So I decided if I'm going to go to the gym, I want to have some kind of goal. And I think this is true of a lot of people, right? Whether we go to the gym and our goal is just to see the scale go down a little bit or up a little, depending on what our intentions are, or if we're going because we want to run a marathon or walk our first 5K. Whatever it is, we usually have a reason for being at the gym. And my parents are both bodybuilders and I wanted to do the same thing. I just decided I think it would be cool to bodybuild. I think initially my first goal was just to get the scale to move. And I do remember my first, this is a silly thing, but my very first reward, right, that I gave myself for losing weight was I always wanted to have my belly button pierced. I think that was, it tells you what year it was right there. I thought belly button piercings were the coolest thing, and low-rise pants had just kind of come out. So why not? And when I lost my first 20 pounds, I got my belly button pierced, and it was like winning a trophy. It's kind of the same feeling I get now when I win trophies, which is a weird comparison. But I really just thought it was cool to get something for working hard. So then I was like, how can I apply this on a bigger scale where it's not just, something I did for myself, but something I can do that I can involve my family in, right? Or that I can involve my friends in. And I had a couple of friends who competed and said it was a lot of fun. And they said it would probably be cool to try it. And I knew my parents had done it. So it was pretty easy to convince me. I think some people need a little bit more, but I was like, I've seen my mom flex. It's really cool. I want to get on stage and flex. throw a bicep out there. And I thought that was a fun idea. So I was like, that's my next step. It's way more realistic or more reasonable than doing a belly button piercing. So I decided to do that. And I was like, I'm going to do a bodybuilding competition. And because I am more scientifically driven, I think I spend a lot more time researching than I probably needed to. But I decided to dedicate 2 full years to preparing for this bodybuilding competition.
Wow.
I think that's something people neglect a lot of the times in this sport, the amount of time it takes. And
yes, wow.
After doing the research, I realized it would take about, for a beginner who's never really picked up a weight before, about 2 years to really get into the habit. You're not just saying it's going to take 2 years of straight work. A year of that is just figuring out how to get to the gym on a consistent basis. Within that year, or 6 months of it at least, you're just trying to get in the habit of eating properly. Before you can even decide that you want to manipulate either of those things. So within the first year, I got into the habit of eating mostly right, and I got into the habit of going to the gym consistently. And then the next year was really my preparation. So I spent a year preparing for my first show. It actually went really well. I had a fantastic coach. I highly recommend, if you ever decide to push for a goal that is outside of your comfort zone, even if it is something you think is simple, like walking a 5K, right? It is super helpful to have a coach. And I had a fantastic coach who monitored what I did, made sure I was eating properly, enough at certain points, and eating in enough of a deficit at other points without going overboard, because you don't want to undernourish your body either.
Yes, that's true.
Made sure I was doing the lifts and training the muscles I needed to be the right size and shape that I needed to be on stage. And after those 2 years, I stepped on stage for my first show in 2015.
Wow.
And I competed in a division that's called bikini. And that's just the smallest female division. This means you are the smallest muscular-wise, but you're just as lean. You have just as little body fat pretty much as any of the other divisions. You just have less muscle to show.
Oh, interesting. I never knew that. Wow.
Yeah, so which is a great place to start, because you are likely your smallest the first time you compete in the sport. And I was fortunate enough and prepared enough that I actually won the overall. So you can win in your height class. And then if you win in your height class, you can compete against everyone else in all the other heights. And I won the overall at my first show. So that was really exciting.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think we have some pictures of you in competition. Let's see if we can pull up some pictures. Okay.
Yeah. So the green suit is me competing. That was actually at my first pro show.
Wow.
And that was so there's different federations as well. So in that federation was called Muscle Mania, or Miss Bikini Fitness Universe.
Wow.
It was more of a pageant style show. It was a ton of fun. There was a costume round, which is something that drew me to that one. I love art. I love crafting. So I actually made all the suits in that picture.
Wow. Very nice.
Gave me something to do on the side, make sparkly bikinis. That was really fun to be able to make my own outfits and my own costumes.
That's so cool.
So I think that was 2017. I got to do my first professional level show, and that was still in bikini. And then since then, I've also competed in, I believe, actually every division at this point. So I've competed in the smallest division, which is bikini. And then I've competed in the largest division for women, which is called women's physique. They just reinstated women's bodybuilding, which is where you really see the girls flexing, but they're much bigger. Women's physique is still flexing. I've competed in figure, which is really the only place I'm competing now. And I've also competed in fitness, which requires you to do a routine, kind of like a gymnastics routine. So I've tried them all. I'm not coordinated enough to do fitness, but I did it on a whim just for fun to say I did it. I placed dead last. I am not coordinated. But nationally wise, I've competed locally, I've competed nationally, and I've competed at the professional level. So those are the 3 tiers. And I've always placed in the top 5 at all levels. So I've done well in the sport. And as I mentioned, I've switched between the divisions as I've grown in size. And now I've switched federations to a larger federation, a more competitive federation. And I'm in the intermediate size for figure, so bigger than bikini. Which really the only difference between these is how much muscle you want to put on your body and what your personal goals are in terms of how you want your physique to look. And then the judging criteria is an aspect of competitive bodybuilding. As a competitive bodybuilder, it's very different than bodybuilding. So I do want to put that out there. So that's kind of my story is I started in 2013, was successful pretty much right away. And I've competed in, I think, around 24 shows at this point, placing top 5. Across every division and several federations. So it's a ton of fun. I really enjoy it. I'm not as successful as other people, but maybe more successful than some, but it's just a blast. I enjoy it. I think you can tell in this picture, this was one of the costumes that I made. I just had fun with it on stage. And that's probably why I like it so much is 1, there's a goal, and then 2, you can have a ton of fun. And it just keeps me accountable. So I really, really love the sport. But like I was saying, when you compete and when you bodybuild, they are different and in their own nature, right? So anyone can bodybuild. Anyone can compete as well if you want to push yourself that way. But I would say the difference really between bodybuilding is for you. Creating and building the body that you want. And that can be to be muscular. It can be to just be lean. It can be to just be toned. Whatever you want, whatever your goal is, that is bodybuilding. If you just want to do Pilates, that's still building your body the way you want to. Competitive bodybuilding, you have to consider an external viewpoint. So that's something to consider. When I compete, I am competing for criteria, like a rubric for grading, right? We're talking about being teachers. When we grade, the judges are essentially grading you on certain shape and muscularity and symmetry, and they want a certain look. So you are building for what the judges want more than what you want.
Interesting. Wow. I never knew that. That's so interesting. And these pictures are fabulous. These are really great, awesome pictures. And I know that you've created some of these designs and looks. So I definitely want to hear more about the fashion aspect of that. But we're going to go ahead and take our second break of the evening. And when we get back, we're going to hear about your designs and your beautiful looks that you've created.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Pink Table Talk. The show is produced by Lawin Media Network. We're also available on over 15 different podcast platforms, including Apple, Google, Spotify, and Amazon. Tonight, we are having a wonderful discussion about health, fitness, education, bodybuilding, fashion designs with the amazing Dr. Alex Paine. So before we went on our break, we got to see some beautiful pictures of you and your competitions. I especially love the one with the beautiful blue skirt. You remind me of Ariel in that picture because you got the red hair. Yes, you're right. I was like, okay, Disney princess look going. All right, I'm loving it. So what inspired you to create your own fashions, and what is your process? How do you create these beautiful designs?
Yeah, I have actually been sewing since I was around 12.
Wow.
My dad taught me, of all people, of how to sew. He's very spatially oriented, and he's always been able to make like camping gear, covers for his motorcycles, very manly things, of course. You don't sew anything that's not super macho, but he did teach me how to sew. And he would probably be super embarrassed if I told you guys this, which I'm going to anyway. He showed me how to sew my very first pair of bikini bottoms.
Okay, wow, all right.
Yeah, he was like, don't tell anybody. But here it is. I'm telling you anyway. I told everyone, of course, because it's hilarious.
In the whole world now.
Yeah, he's like, I sewed underwear. It's the most embarrassing thing in the world. They were bikini bottoms. So he was super instrumental in teaching me how to sew. I sewed all of my dresses for like homecoming and prom growing up, because honestly, that was the more economical way to go about it. So a lot of it was out of necessity, even growing up, and it was actually out of necessity as a competitor. I don't know if you know this, and probably don't. Most people who don't compete don't know how much these suits cost. But just as a range, depending on who you purchase your suit from, a bikini you wear on stage can run anywhere between $250 to $2,500.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
I didn't know that.
They are depending on who you're buying them from, they are hand created. I create every single one from scratch. I literally have a bolt of fabric, and I cut out the fabric of your choosing to your specific measurement. So every single one of my suits is different. Every single one of my clients has their own pattern. I actually have files. I maintain all my suit patterns. So if someone comes back for a second suit, I already have their body measurements, which is why you can even see just how these suits are laid out flat. Some of them might be laid out a little bit differently, and it has to do with customer preference, where they want the suits to sit on their hips, how much coverage they want on the front or back of their bottoms or top. So everything is handmade. Once it's sewn, if you see those sparkles, each one of those crystals is applied one at a time.
Oh my God, amazing.
Individual glue dots, and then placing the stones on top. So I've mapped out the designs, placed them onto the suits, and stoned them. So those crystals are really high quality crystals. I technically not allowed to name them, but there's a store in the mall that's named after these sparkly crystals. But legally I can't use what they're called. But they're extremely pricey stones. They run anywhere between 10 to 25 cents a stone for cost. And then you're adding in the labor to put them on. So part of it was the necessity of I didn't have $1,000 to spend on the suit that I wanted. So I learned how to, through many trials and errors, how to make my own suit. And then luckily I had enough friends in the industry that let me make them suits to learn how to make my own pattern stock and learn how to create these suits. So through many, many trials and errors, I have managed to create patterns, and I design the suits. A lot of the inspiration for these, for bikini, I would say for the division bikini, you have a lot of yellow on yellow or pink on pink stonework. But when we get into the divisions where you can have a lot more flair or shape and style, that's a one-on-one conversation I get to have with my clients. It's super cooperative. I love getting to design the patterns on figure and women's physique suits. I've even done ones where my clients give me, like, I want the 𝐓𝐿𝐴 sign, and we find a way to put that symbol on the suit. I've had clients bring me their favorite album cover and be like, hey, I really like this band, and there's this cool motif, and I want to put it on my suit somewhere. So I always find a way to, like, if you put the tops together and shove the bottoms up into one image, you can see the imagery. I've done Batman, I've done 𝐓𝐿𝐴, I've done a Skrillex emblem. That one was really fun.
Interesting.
It's there. So you don't want the judges to know. They're a little weird about it, but the client knows it's there. And that's just a lot of fun to me, is getting to do that design process with my clients, is to discuss this stuff. And the other fun aspect is getting to teach my clients about, like, color theory, which is kind of a weird offshoot, but it's a fun little teaching aspect too that goes into this. And it's just a lot of fun as a way to be crafty.
Yeah, these are really gorgeous designs. I'm like, wow. And I can't believe you put each stone one by one. I mean, you're amazing. This is awesome. Such beautiful work. And the website is at Zila's Customs. So find her if you guys want to have something custom made. Do you offer any suits for just the beach?
So I have definitely done that. So I make what are called posing suits. Okay. You don't practice in the sparkle suit. You can, but to be honest, your suit should only fit about the week of show. So that's the weight fluctuation we all have. You're never as lean as you are on show day. So the suit doesn't tend to fit unless it's about a week out perfectly. So to avoid wear and tear, you wear a posing suit. And posing suits are just swimsuits, but they're cut exactly to your specifications to match your competition suit. But I've made many posing suits that were just swimsuits, and they're a lot. I swim in my posing suits. Nice. They're fun.
Yeah, they're so beautiful. Wow, you're such a versatile person. I mean, teacher, coach, bodybuilder, designer. I mean, it's so amazing, all of the wonderful things that you do. Yes, thank you so much. I also remember reading your bio, and I saw that it said you're a glute expert. So we know it's been all about the booty over the past few years. Oh, yeah. So tell us and tell our audience, what can we do to have a beautifully nice shaped booty? It's all about the booty.
It's all about your hip thrusts. You have to do hip thrusts. It really, really is. So it's an interesting certification to get, but I have always had, not necessarily a fascination with, I never had a butt, ever. I never had glutes. My mom always joked, I don't know if I'm aging myself here or how many people have watched King of the Hill, but there is an episode of King of the Hill where you get to see Hank Hill's non-existent bum. My mom referred to it as the concave glute. So as a concave glute individual, I had to learn how to make it go the right direction. So that's always been a struggle. So I always have to remind my clients, the reason I have a probably normal sized bum, even though I work really, really hard on it, to an extreme, that it came from negative, not flat, negative bum. So if I can have a three-dimensional, correct facing rear end, you too can grow your butt.
Oh my.
But the hip thrust, to be honest, if you had to pick one exercise to do, it would be the hip thrust in every variation. They have weighted and unweighted, dumbbell and barbell machines for this. If you could do some variation with a hip thrust every single day, in reality, because your glutes are so large, it's very difficult to overtrain your glutes. So if you wanted to grow width-wise, hip thrust. If you want to grow round, banded work, people do not give it enough credit. If you do banded lateral walks or lateral kicks, just moving your legs to the side, you will make massive changes to the peripherals of your glutes. So
interesting.
If I had to do those two things, hip thrust and lateral kicks or lateral walks, and your glutes will look significantly better, if nothing else, significantly lifted from where they were before.
Oh, that's great, you know, because that's like the biggest thing like everybody focuses on now. And, you know, people are out here, they're getting the surgeries. And I'm just like, no, I'm sure you could just kind of work that muscle out.
You can. And I will say you'll have better results from working it out than doing the surgery. I actually don't have a problem with cosmetic surgery if that's the way that you want to go. That is a personal choice. And if it makes you feel happy and comfortable, then that's what you can do. But as from the bodybuilding perspective, right, as someone I've seen the modifications on stage. It is noticeable. And as someone who's coached women who have had surgery to emphasize their glutes, it becomes difficult to see definition. So if you want definition in your upper hamstring that ties into your glutes, we call it your glute ham tie-in. It's really difficult because you've put fat there or an implant there. It makes it really hard to see that definition. But it doesn't happen as fast when you have to work out the muscle. The other benefit to working out the muscle, just a little side note, we can tell when it's added in because your hamstrings and quads should grow, the front and back of your legs should grow kind of in proportion to your glutes. And when they don't, it's a pretty good indicator. So one of those things is some people might notice. If it doesn't bother you that people notice, then go for it. But if you want it to be more subtle, working it out is actually going to be your better bet.
Yes. That's such great tips for our audience. So women and ladies out there, well, and men, get going at your hip thrust and your lateral leg moves with the little band, you said?
Yes, it's a band.
Yeah, because I know it's still all about the booty. So, you know.
That's true. Even in bodybuilding, every division, they're scoring your glutes for something.
So we're going to go ahead and take our third break for the evening, and then we're going to get back with more talk with Dr. Paine.
Join us for a captivating new series where Lawin sits down with the trailblazers of the music and entertainment world. Discover the stories behind the faces and voices that shape our culture and community.
We will bring you exclusive interviews with industry legends and rising stars. Behind the scenes insights and get a peek into the creative processes and personal journeys. Artists and performers and their upcoming shows and events.
Stay tuned for more updates and sneak peeks. Follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel.
Welcome back to Pink Table Talk. We're here talking tonight about health, fitness, bodybuilding, and booties. With Dr. Alex Paine. You know, your name reminds me of no pain, no gain. You know, and I think that's perfect. Do you use that as your
pain for gains? It works well.
Yeah, it just kind of works perfectly, you know. We have a comment here from one of our members. Christian Toledo says, "Be right back. He's practicing his hip thrust."
Good, take off the practice.
Yes, you know, we have to have our glutes in together. We're just having such a wonderful discussion with you tonight, and I'm just really enjoying this. So I just wanted to ask you, how does your faith fit into fitness? Because I know you are a Christian, and so I wanted you to talk to us about that. So what is that like for you?
So I will definitely say that I get a lot of questions about that. Mostly because, I mean, you showed my pictures of what we wear on stage, and it can be considered a little risque, especially depending on your division. You're not really wearing a lot. I think that comes out a lot with conversation with people who are concerned about being modest, especially with being a Christian. And yes, I agree, modesty is important. But in the sense of this, I always like to relate it to being in any other sport, right? If you're in volleyball, our shorts are really short. If we're in track and running professionally, it's usually a sports bra and shorts. So it's part of the uniform of the sport. So that's definitely one aspect I get a lot of questions about. The other aspect is vanity, right? So we're not supposed to be vain. And yet when we're doing bodybuilding, you do see, especially in social media, a lot of vanity. You showed some of my pictures modeling, that could definitely be considered vanity. But I don't necessarily just do this for me and I'm not doing it to look a certain way. Like to an extent, yes, because I have to look a certain way to receive the score that I have to in order to win. But that doesn't necessarily always correlate with being not being modest or not being vain, right? Like I can do that without vanity. And I say that because for me, this is a sport where my goal is just a little bit different, right? You're not necessarily being vain by wanting to run 26 miles. I don't think any of us would say wanting to run a marathon has anything to do with vanity, yet it's still a fitness goal with an end result and a reward at the end, right? If you were to win your race. So that's it as kind of the same way when it comes to bodybuilding, is avoiding that vanity and not doing this because you want to be the most beautiful person in the room and you want the attention and to draw people's attention at the gym or draw attention on stage. You are doing this for a competitive aspect. So that's definitely something I like to point out to people, is that you can do it without being vain. There's definitely a ton of vanity in the sport. There's a lot of vanity in fitness in general, which is, I mean, you'll see my social media. I don't actually post that often. I do it just, more or less because I did a photo shoot and I promised I would, or I did a competition and my family wants to see pictures. I'm not really doing it to get the likes and the attention. I definitely used to. I had a phase in my life where the vanity aspect definitely did take over. But I really wasn't a Christian at the time. And when that switched, you can probably see a really fast drop off of how important social media became. It went from posting 3-4 times a day to once every other year, sometimes twice a year. It wasn't there anymore. I didn't feel the calling to get a random person's attention. I felt more inclined to spend my time praising God. And in that aspect, part of being a child of God is caring for the gifts that God gave you, and your body is a gift that God gave you. And it's amazing the things it can do. The fact that people can even get to the size that they do in some divisions in bodybuilding, they can get that lean, you can transform your bicep from nothing to big, you can transform your shape completely. It's just so fascinating and cool to see how we were created and how that can be, like, just what's already there, part of creation, and how it allows us to utilize that to change ourselves in the gym. And I just think that's cool. Like the fact that we are programmed in such a way that we can do this and that we can take care of ourselves. And again, when I kind of found that aspect of finding it to be important to focus on education rather than creating a magic pill in the lab to fix issues around body issues, right? Health issues that could be maintained. That was all in that same era when I was coming to find Christ, was realizing that we have a calling to take care of the gifts, which in this case is our body, right? Our body is a temple for God. So whether you want to bodybuild or not, should be considerate of what are you taking in, whether that's nutritionally, whether that's visually, whatever your stimuli are, what you're listening to, what you're seeing. And I've changed a lot of what I do. So beyond focusing on the gym, I care about what music I'm listening to at home, in the car, or when I'm working out. I care about what I watch on television. I care about what I read. I care about who I surround myself with, because all of that changes your perception of self. It changes your perception of the world, and it changes your relationship with God. So when I consider all of that, and I put that into the context of bodybuilding, when your intention is of that for glory to God and not to glory for yourself, then that's where you can start to draw a line, say, I might not be wearing much on stage, but I'm not doing that for my own glory or my own vanity. I'm actually doing that because, in a sense, like I said, I'm at the gym. I think it's so cool that I have been created to be able to do this, and that without God, I could not do this. I would not exist to be able to do this. And so it's like, in a sense, it's praising the Lord while I'm on stage. I give thanks to him every single time, whether I win or lose on stage, because of him, I have the opportunity to do these things. I have the ability to do these things. I was given the opportunity because of the life situations that have been laid out for me through his plan to do these things. So I think your perception and perspective of why you're doing something is more important than the world's perspective of what it could mean.
Yes. Wow. That's so amazing. Dr. Paine, I really enjoy your motivations, your reasonings. You're just so inspiring, and I love how you incorporate that faith into your bodybuilding and fitness journey. A lot of people don't see them as being something that could be joined or combined. They see them as two separate things. I've even known Christians who have said they don't care about their body. They don't care about how they look and working out because they felt it was vain. They felt that it wasn't, a Christian thing to do. But here you are, you're explaining it so wonderfully and reminding us, that our body is a gift. And I think that was just so beautifully said. And that was a wonderful reminder for myself as well. And so I really thank you for that. I know you do personal coaching. How can people get in touch with you for personal coaching, whether for their fitness goals or health goals? How can they do that?
Yeah, so you are welcome to reach out to me through my Instagram, the @PaineForGainsBikiniPro. I'm still working on making just a coaching site. I'm switching from being an in-person personal trainer to online only currently. The account is private, just again, because in terms of vanity, my profile is not out there for everyone to see, to go, ooh, ah, look at this person. It is for kind of myself as a posting space and for family, and then for my clients. So if you want to get a hold of me, you can message me through there. I'll accept your request, of course. And then coaching, when it comes to coaching, it's a little bit different than personal training because I'm not there in person. But if you are at a point where you feel you are comfortable enough to go to the gym, or just want nutritional advice, I do both together or separate, then that's a great place to start. We meet, we chat about your needs, your goals, what you are capable of, what you are uncomfortable with, what you're comfortable with. And we go from there to determine how we can move forward to get you to your healthiest self.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So to my audience members, definitely reach out if you have health, fitness goals, or want some of those beautiful and amazing bikinis. Definitely reach out to Dr. Alex Paine. And one more time, can you show us the other website that she had there? And so all of her information is there for you guys to reach out for her. Thank you so much, Dr. Paine, for being on our show tonight. It's been a wonderful discussion. I know I've been enlightened by it and I feel empowered by it. And I'm going to get working on my lateral leg.
Hip thrust.
Little hip thrust. Because we can always continue to work on improving ourselves day by day. So Absolutely. I thank you again for joining us.
And thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. So that's all we have for you guys tonight. This has been a fantastic season. I've enjoyed my first season with you all for Pink Table Talk. And I'm sure we will be back with some more amazing guests coming up for season 2. So definitely stay tuned and look out for our updates on Lawin Media Network, either through our Facebook page or our YouTube page. And thank you all for watching us live for Pink Table Talk. Remember, on Wednesdays, we talk pink, and you can sit with us. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Everybody have a good night. Bye.